In this video, we're going to add application level logging. So first, you'll want to go over to the Red5 Pro Dev Series GitHub account and click on the clone or download, copy that to your clipboard, and go into workspace directory. Go ahead and issue git clone dev series. Okay, that's good. Now what you want to do is open up Eclipse. And go to a workspace. You should choose a clean workspace. And from here, you can import an existing Maven project. Browse over to the Red5 Pro Demos Dev Series and choose the authenticating connections one because we have an example already created for you, but you want to start from scratch, so open the authenticating connections and go ahead and finish that. What that's going to do is import it into Eclipse, set it up as a Maven project, and if you open up source main Java, open up the example application, you'll notice that you have your app connect, app disconnect, and app start. You'll notice inside the example application we have some log statements. In the overrided app start method, you can see app start, and we should see that in the logs. So in order to get this running on Red5 Pro, you have to actually build it. So we're going to go up to create a new run configuration. Double click on Maven build, and from the base directory, click on workspace, choose the example application, and click OK. For the goals, set it to clean space install. And at the bottom, go ahead and click apply and run. This is going to build it, and you'll see a build success here. Now we can actually copy over the artifact that was built. Go ahead and refresh that if you have to. Choose example and copy it. Then from within your workspace, go ahead and open up your Finder and get your Red5 Pro server that you were able to get in the previous video, and go into web apps and paste it in there. So now you have a new web app called example, and so now we can load that up and run it. Go back to your console and go ahead and change into the directory of your server. What you'll notice is that the example application loaded, and here we see the app start for the log level of type info, but this is still a global level application log. So what we're going to do is create a custom logger which can log this to your application level log. So we're going to go back into Eclipse, and from within here you can go into source, main, and inside of there create a resources folder. Click OK. And now we're going to create a new file and call it example, or actually logback example.xml. And the naming is important because Red5 will look for the prefix of logback dash. So go ahead and click finish. And with this new logback file, let's go over to the Red5 Pro Dev Series GitHub repository and go ahead and click on application level logging, because we're going to use a template and we'll modify it. So when you get to here, go ahead and click on raw and copy the entire contents. Go back to Eclipse and paste it. So what we have here, now go ahead and save it. We have a context name of example. We have an example appender where we're actually storing this in log/example.log, and that's going to be inside of Red5 Pro's root directory. We're appending it. We're creating a rolling file appender, so this is actually going to roll over every time it has a file size of 5 megabytes. And then we're creating a second appender called console, which we're actually going to just also log out these messages to the console. And we have two levels. We have root, which has got a level of debug, and it's putting it on the console appender and the example appender. And then we also have a package level logger, which is going for com.red5pro.example, as you can see in the Java resources package. So this one will relate to right here. And we've got that set as debug as well. Another important thing to notice is that the configuration at the top has a scan attribute set to true, and it scans every 5 seconds. This is good for development purposes, but you may want to look out for performance issues when you go over to production. So now that we have application level logging configured, we can then go to our example application and add some application level logging. Or in this case, we already have some, so now it should go into a different file. We'll go ahead and save this. Go ahead and build it. You can then go into Target and copy the example. And go back to your Red5 Pro server, and in the web apps directory, go ahead and replace the existing example. And now you can actually go over to Red5 Pro and start the server up. Go over to the console, start up Red5 Pro, or restart it if you already have it started. Let that load up fully. What we're going to be doing is looking for that example application to log out to this global console, but we're also going to look at a custom log file which we set up in our custom logger. Here we have the example printing out to the global logger, and if we open up a second console, change into the demos workspace folder, and go back into your Red5 Pro server /logs /log, and go ahead and list the contents. You'll notice that you have an example.log file now. This was set up again from Eclipse when you set up the logback example.xml file right here. You're appending to this file here. So if I open up or cat that file, example.logger, you'll notice that it also printed out app start here as well. And the reason why it's printing twice is because we actually have a package level logger and a root level logger, and they're actually appending over top of each other. Logback allows you to kind of turn that off, but I've got it turned on just for this demo, I guess. So the next thing we want to do, though, is show how we can kind of turn on and off the logs for development purposes. Go back to the GitHub account and go back to Red5 Pro Dev Series and go into the application level logging, source, main, Java, example. Let's take some of this code here just to see how it works with our new logger. So open up your example application from Eclipse, and inside of app start we want to add a little bit more code here. So what we're doing is adding a scheduled executor service, and we're assigning one thread to the pool. We are then creating a runnable task, and we're printing out log.debug, so we're using the logger in the debug level to print out scheduling and then the time. Then we execute it at a fixed rate, the task, the initial delay, every second we're going to print out. So now we can save this. Actually, we'll have to organize our imports. Let's see, source, organize imports, or Shift Command O. So now we've got those imports up here. Everything checks out, so go ahead and save it. We're once again going to build the example. Great, so now you can go and copy the example application go back to your Red5 Pro web apps directory and replace the example application there. Now we could stop Red5, clear the console, and start it back up. Down here, let's go ahead and tail, and we'll keep it going. We'll go 100. We'll go example.log. So this is going to keep on tailing that log, and you'll notice we have this scheduling now going to the application level log as well as the global log. And what I want to show you here is that if you go back into Eclipse, well, not Eclipse because this you had to build and deploy it, but if you go back into Red5 Pro and go into the web apps example directory, these are the deployed artifacts. Go into the classes, and then you'll see your logback.example file. Go ahead and open that. Great. So inside of here, you can actually go ahead and change the logging level from debug to info, and you'll be able to notice that it will actually, let's see here, it will stop the debugging midstream. So go ahead and save that. Go back to Eclipse. You'll see it's not actually logging out any new times. And if you want to go back, so for instance, I'll clear the console, and you want to turn on debugging again for this package, you can go ahead and put debug as the level and click save. Go back to your console, and you'll start to see the logging start to pop back out at you. And this is great for if you are developing something and you have one class that has a lot of logic going on, too many printout statements that you don't want to see when you're normally testing, but if something goes wrong, you want to be able to turn it on and off. And the reason why this works is because at the top we talked about that scanning earlier. If scan is set to true, it's going to scan this logging configuration file and change your loggers and your appenders in real time. So that's a great little tip for you. And that kind of demonstrates how we can have application level logging as well as global logging, and it allows you to separate out your web apps and their print statements.